Hey everyone, today is the short episode of the Remote Tuesdays. We do that every week. So we invite some remote leaders from the remote world, and we have some participants here at Zoom. We also broadcast on Facebook and on YouTube, and also we will share the video afterwards to the public.
Cool.
So I want to introduce myself. My name is Denis Shershnyov. I'm the founder of the remote first company sixnomad.com. And we believe that the talent is split equally and the opportunities are not. And what we do, we match the best engineer talent with the remote first companies. And today my guest is Marcelo. Marcelo now is a CTO at remote.com. And previously he is the VP of engineers at Unbubble. Hi, Marcelo.
Hey guys.
Hey, where are you now?
I'm in Lisbon, Portugal.
Perfect. I'm in Moscow, Russia right now. So we're in different time zones. It's
very much so.
Yes, 10:30 right now. So we have the format. So the goal of that remote stand-ups is to share the experience, how to manage the remote first company.
Yep.
And so I want to ask you a few words about your previous experience about Unbubble and go to remote.com. And then maybe if you want to share some insights, what is remote work for you personally?
Good.
Perfect. So I want to start with Unbubble.
Sure.
I know that you was VP of engineers at Unbubble.
Yep.
And what is Unbubble?
Unbubble is a B2B company. Unbubble provides a sort of translation layer to the world in the sense that it allows companies to talk to their customers in whatever language without them really realizing. Sort of a Google on steroids sort of solution. I was there for 2 years, built an awesome team. By the time that I left, I was managing a team of, I reckon 40 something engineers, I guess. We're mostly based in Portugal at the time. A few people throughout the world and a few traveling as well. We'd like to push a lot the culture of people working where they felt comfortable. Of course, we had a few offices spread out through Lisbon. So it was not 100% remote, remote friendly.
So it wasn't remote. I've checked your Unbubble LinkedIn page. And
No, at the time they weren't remote. They are now as a force of current situations around the world, but not natively.
Okay, but as I see from the LinkedIn page, like the employees, like Portugal, United States, Brazil, it's just a global it's just a global company, not the distributed company or remote company.
Very much so. Yeah, and to be honest, we would often hire people even in the engineering side that would start working with us remotely and then eventually move to Portugal. So just because a company is not remote first doesn't mean that they can't work remotely. It's mostly about the processes you have in-house that should work for people that are remote and for those that are not remote as well.
So remote.com is your first remote experience, right?
Fully remote, yeah, 100%. So we started a remote, Job and I, in January last year, January 2019. Remote is a company that allows you to hire people remotely. So one of the problems that remote people have throughout the ages is that for you to hire someone across seas, overboard or something, it requires someone to be a freelancer. Contractor is not really, even though you may have a great culture in companies like GitLab, Envision, so on and so forth, they're awesome at it. But at the end of the day, you're still a contractor or a freelancer, right? And that has many disadvantages for both sides. And it's just a pain in the butt, to be honest. It's not really a scalable solution, be it for the culture, be it for the practicality of it. And so no one was tackling this, and we decided to fix the problem. Job was at the beginning of GitLab, was VP of product there until we started remote. He suffered in firsthand. He wrote the handbook on hiring and managing teams remotely. And I suffered from this as well, to be honest. I mean, one of the major undercover problems of having teams in offices is that we tend to fundamentally slid back into working synchronously. So a lot of unproductive, inefficient methodologies come up very quickly, and we sort of tag along with it, and it's like, so you go for a coffee, and then you're standing by the coffee machine with someone else passes by, then half an hour goes by, and then you go to lunch, and then you come back from lunch, and then it's this and it's that, and someone that passes by taps you on the shoulder and all that. So I'd push very much for people to work from places that they felt comfortable. It didn't matter, I always believed that it doesn't matter where you're working from. And I saw this firsthand. I felt that it is one of the reasons why I so badly wanted to start remote, was to create remote, is that this is a problem in the world, right? Be it from a practical standpoint, from a legal standpoint of you wanting to hire someone in another country without having to create your own entity there, and all the hustle and fuss, which is creating an entities and then hire people, then the expense and how expensive it is, but also on the productivity side of things, right? And working remotely brings a lot of need in terms of things you need to do that you're not usually used to, but those things are fundamental. And what we see now, and what a lot of the companies face now that they never faced, is the fact that these things that companies need to do to work remotely were actually very much needed in their day-to-day jobs and in-office jobs, but they just didn't do it and get along with it. Like something as easy as, I need the credentials to access something, or where is this documented? Oh, let's call Joe that he knows what that's about, or Jane, and eventually that person comes by and tells you, oh, this is what you need to do, and that's it, right? And all this wasteful amount of things pile up and pile up and pile up. But working remotely doesn't let you do that. You need to create your own best practices around many different topics. And it's it's a topic that gets us very excited. And in a nutshell, that's what remote does. You have a company in one country, you want to hire people, be it on the same country or across the world. And with remote, you can have an employee with fully legal compliance in the country, full benefits, as if you were hiring someone down the road.
Just help me to understand. So Six Nomads is a remote first company as well. We have employees like in Russia, in Ukraine, in Montenegro, in Germany. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, as far as got it, so all the employees of Six Nomads are contractors, basically. So yes, they're not able to get all the benefits of the like full-time employees, like holidays, yep, like medical insurance, and so on, yep, and so forth. For sure, I treat my employees as a full-time employees, but legally they're contractors. Exactly. But you are with a remote.com, you give me the opportunity to hire like people everywhere, but be compliant with the laws. Is it correct?
Exactly. So there are very simple. Sometimes people think that, well, it's not really a big deal until you try to buy a house, until you try to get get a credit approved for a new car or something. Then you go to the bank and they ask you, so what's your profession? I'm a freelancer. Who's your employer now? Myself. Well, you know what? And then it gets all that fuss, right? And also we believe fundamentally is something that was always at our core. We believe that people should do what they love. Doesn't matter what, right? If you want to be an amazing woodworker, carpenter, fisherman, doesn't matter. You should be that, right? I know it's tough, but if we start pushing to this end, the world will be a way better place, and we'll be all in a way better situation. What happens is that when you're a contractor, and if you've gone through this, you know, it's like there's that time of the month where, okay, I need to invoice the company, I need to do my taxes. You probably have an accountant, or you do your own accounting. So there's this sort of hustle that is in the back of your mind, like I need to take care of myself. And in that process, even if it's like just one day, it tags along, and it makes you wonder, it makes you question, and you're a bit all by yourself. I mean, I know that, for instance, the Japanese take this to the extreme, as in that your company is sort of your bond in society. I wouldn't go that far, but it is very important that you have job security, you have health insurance, and that you have a credible employer statement that you can show to the bank and get a credit to a new house, without having to really explain that you're really well successful, but you don't really have an employer. And so with a remote, you can get all that and make sure that your employees are just focused on doing what they love. Simple as that. And we take care of all the stuff, which is a pain in the ass, but that's what we excel at doing.
It's interesting. It's quite inspiring. And who are your clients? So is it startups who hire like globally and don't care about the borders and so on, or it's just a big global
we're getting,
like enterprise?
I mean, ever since we opened for business, we have a huge pipeline of customers, of people wanting to get onboarded and to hire people through us. And it's everything. It's from a 5-person startup to 1,500 to 1,000 people, companies. And so we get clients from literally every, across the board on literally all the areas and even sizes of company. They have different expectations towards how people, I mean, how contract goes and how the benefits roll out in certain countries and that. But at the end of the day, what they want is literally the same. They want happy employees that are not worried about their employment, and that the company doesn't have to worry about opening a formal entity in that country.
So just from the contractor or freelancer standpoint, so let's imagine I'm the contractor in Ukraine. Yep. And I get money on my legal entity, and I will ask my employee, just let's do that like correctly. Let's use like remote.com as a provider. So what basically, I will be employed to the remote.com or to my company I work for, how it works? So
in practical, we act as an employer of record. So what happens is that it looks like magic, but in practice, it's not magic. So you're describing 3 entities, right? So it's the employer, it's remote, and it's the freelancer that wants to become an employee, right? On the very end. So what happens is that we sort of make a connection between the 2 dots. There's a contract between the employer and remote, and there's it's typically a service contract, and there's a working contract between remote and the employee. So what happens is that through this contract, this person is legally and lawfully an employee of remote, working for the employer, whatever it is, right? So in the contract, specifics, the hiring company will be, for this person, will be remote. However, this person is linked to company that is hiring that person on the other end. right? So there's a connection between the two ends, and we tie the knots. And we're able to do this because we run our own infrastructure of entities throughout the world. So we have multiple entities in different countries. And so we're able to connect all the dots throughout the different countries. There are a few companies that are doing similar-ish this, but what happens is that they don't run their own infrastructure. They mostly use third-party companies, and it's sort of a pain in the ass because the problem is that you want to simplify this. You don't want to have your employee or employer jump through hoops and understand. So, but who's this entity that is now invoicing me, and who's the other one that is now creating the payslips, and who's that one is in the contract, right? You don't want this. What you want and is literally what we offer at Remote, which is want to hire someone, you talk to us, you onboard yourself in 5 minutes, and then you invite the person you want to hire. That person will be onboarded, and that's it. Right? It's literally probably 5-minute thing if done end to end, and that's it.
Okay, I understood the business of the remote.com, and I want to jump into the processes. As far as I got, the remote.com is a total remote company, remote first company, and you work asynchronically. And I have read the piece of Ana Silva, is a backend engineer at remote.com. And he shared some insights on how they were organized at remote.com. And what he said, it's interesting here. So on Mondays, the engineering team, 9 at the moment, has a meeting to chat a bit around what cool stuff we did over the weekend, and if there is anything important to discuss related to engineers, we'll also do it there. So basically, you discuss the stuff you did on the weekend. Why do you do that on the working hours?
Yes, because people are indistinguishable. From weekend to Monday, people will still be the same, right? There's what I believe a flaw in the way that we've been working for centuries, not thousands of years, which is the fact that people separate themselves from their working self, right? And that's just weird, honestly, because you don't really do that. And you spend a lot of hours throughout the day working with someone, with people. How weird is that you're working with someone, spending more time with someone that you do with your partner or your kids, and you know shit about them, right? It's really freaky if you think about it, right? Sometimes you spend 8-10 hours working with someone a day, and then you spend like 4 or 5 hours with your partner and kids or dog, and you know nothing about this person. And so it happens that working remotely also brings people together in very different ways. One is that because you have this window to my house, right, which you don't have in an office. You can see that this is my living room. It's not really my office. This is where sometimes I share it with my dog that is shamelessly sleeping in the couch next to me, and next to my kids' toys that are also lying around. And the reason we do this is because people need to interact as people. And if we forget about this, you're not building a culture. You're just putting a bunch of freelancers together and making them work together. A culture is made of other people. It's not about hanging out and drinking beer. It's about people getting to know each other and working better. And to be honest, what I felt, I mean, throughout many companies in the different years, I've seen companies do the typical stand-ups. I've done them myself, just to give the highlights of what's going on throughout the week or what's going to be tackled next. In reality, seldomly it matters. People space out. If you're talking about something you're going to do, people will not hear any of it, or it's not really important to them, or it's just an informative sort of session. So instead of having like, let's plan the week. No, I mean, we work continuously. There are no sprints remote. There's no scrum. We work continuously in a very fluid, continuous flow of work. If you have something to say, you should say it immediately. When you need something, when you have a question for this or for that, there's not really a moment you should wait for and talk at that point. No, you should work asynchronously. You can just send a message to someone and ask for help. And that when that person is available, they'll reach out. But getting together is very important. I mean, it's Monday. Most people are starting to work. I mean, and after a weekend, that can be relaxing or not if you have kids. I don't even know what a relaxing weekend is anymore. But what happens is that it's just a great moment to be together. Sometimes some people are having tea or coffee throughout the session or making breakfast, and we're talking about the world and things that happen. It's just a better way to start the week. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you for your answer. And the other interesting stuff here is at 4:30 p.m. we have a 30 minutes optional daily call with everyone in the company.
Yep.
What does it mean? Why do you do optional calls? And at 4:30 p.m. at the evening?
So the reason why we do this is it's sort of similar to the one that we have starting of the week, but just to get to talk a bit with everyone in the company. And it's like, it's not just water cooler conversation moment, but it's a moment where if you're interested in what's going on, if there's an important announcement that just feels right being talked and discussed. So make no confusion, make no mistake. We will, every time there's something important, we will write it down and share it with the whole company so that no one misses it and it stays logged and it stays written. But it's just good to talk to people. So we usually have a question of the day, which is a random question like, why is it bad to have pineapple on pizzas, or what kind of chocolate do you like most, and stuff like this, just to get people talking. Everyone will share the experience. Some people talk about their day or share something about their personal life. If there's something important to discuss from work standpoint, like, hey, we hired someone new for this or that role, we'll also take the opportunity to do that. And that's it. It's mostly to get people, because it's very easy if you work remotely and if you focus on productivity as we do, that people are always have a flow and a sense of progression in terms of their own tasks. It's very easy for you to get caught up in that and people to just overwork and just keep on working, and then you lose your sense of self and you get diluted into that. And it's important for you to take a step back and, all right, I'm working with people. I am one of those people. So you just mingle and discuss it with people. That's it.
It's interesting. And I've read your Twitter feed recently, and you and Job, and I've seen that you posted at remote.com, and it was like a front-end position. I believe it was on March. And I even can share the screen, or it was a post. This is the first time we have opened an engineer position at remote.com.
Yeah.
If you want to apply, just go here. And then I just see the message, sorry, we're overwhelmed with the applications and we have closed the role ago. How much applicants did you get?
Jesus, we got hundreds.
How many? Sorry.
We got hundreds of amazing applicants, like literally hundreds. I made a point of replying to everyone. I always do. At least I go through the applications and read what people have to say, and most of the time they send their CV or links, and I go through it all. I make a point of, when I open a job opening, I make sure that I value that person's time. Even when people just randomly apply, because I want to hire good people, and of course good professionals, but fundamentally good people. And for me to do that, I also have to be one. So I always believe in valuing what people's lives and what they do with it. And so we got hundreds of applications. One day we started getting a lot of applications, dozens each day. One day I woke up, we had like 80 something new applications. It was really time consuming. We made sure, so something that was common, I mean, it's very common in engineering mainly, is to get a lot of, to not get a lot of diversity in the application. It's unfortunate common trait of the world we live in, or that we've been living in, and hopefully we're making our part to change it. And so we made sure that we would not close this until we got decent representation of diversity on our job ad. So we spent a bit more time going through all the applications and keeping it open, because I don't want it to just hire whoever applied first. I also don't want to hire someone just for sake of diversity, or sake of that person being a representation of diversity. We're going to make sure that everyone gets a fair share. But in order for us to evaluate that, we really need to have everyone having a fair share of attention from us. And so we made sure that we went through all the applications, which just was amazing. I was super grateful for that. I am. To this day, I still get applications, even though we don't have engineering roles open. People send me a message on LinkedIn and something and stuff. And as much as possible, I try to answer. It's really busy time at remote. If I see that it's not a mechanic message, like copy and paste 100 of these messages and see whoever picks up, I'll make sure I have 10 seconds to reply. But it's been amazing to see how many people applied.
So basically more than 100 engineers applied from all over the world. And how did you make the decision? So, and where from did you hire the person? Where is the person from?
So, because actually we ended up not hiring just one, we hired two, because we found two amazing people, and I couldn't make up my mind. And because we could afford it, I thought best to double down on hiring two people for that role. I'd rather not divulge details because those people are not yet at the company. But the way we went, I can tell you that the way we went through the process was something that's important to me is how you apply, how you present yourself. It's not like, I don't like bullshit. I'm a very straightforward person. I'm a very direct person. And I expect people to don't treat me as a typical recruiter or person that never hired someone. I really appreciate you come clean and come directly with whatever you like to do, what you're good at, and how you think you could it makes sense for you to be at remote, because I want to also make sure that remote is great for you. Doesn't matter. Some people, they want to try so hard to please that they don't stop to think that maybe the company is not great for you. It's not like you should really put some effort on filtering the companies. Even though, of course, I have to admit, and I'm biased here because I'm also co-founder at Remote, and I think Remote is great, but you have to filter. And we still see a lot of mechanized and automated applications. The first thing, as I said, we go through them, make sure to read what people send in. It's not really a cover letter I'm looking for. It's mostly, hi, I saw this role, I'm really had to apply or whatever. Then they usually have a CV or a link to what they do or what they did in the past. If it sort of fits the bill in terms of what the job opening had described and what we're looking for, I'll just set up a quick chat with the person, very quick. Usually only ask 2 questions. One is, what do you really like to do, professionally or personally? It doesn't matter. In 5 minutes, I'll be able to understand how you face life, how you define things you love, and how you do them. And the second question is, how can remote help you be successful in life or happy? If you want to tell me that, look, what I want to do in the future is be a shepherd and have my own herd, or become a woodworker. Sure, great. I'm super happy for you. It's like, it must be blissful. And I just want to know, how can remote help you get there? Maybe it's getting a job with software engineering for a couple more years until you get enough money to buy your own first pair of cows or something. But if we can do that, great. But if you don't have something you want to achieve, and if we can't help you, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to be applying to remote. If you really want to work in an office or just be one of those punch in, punch out salary man, remote is not great for you. You will face challenges on the culture, because we're really passionate about what we do and not about working schedules. So it doesn't make sense. And if it checks out, we have, it's not a challenge, but it's sort of a very, 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 very quick exercise that we tell people, can you just do this? Depends if it's front end and back end, depends on technology, but it's like something you can do in like a couple of hours tops. We don't want people to spend a lot of time. Yeah, as quick as possible. But that will allow us to understand how much effort we would take to onboard that person, right? Because that person has the experience we're looking for, but how deep is that knowledge, and how can we fit it? Can we learn from that person? Do we need to have a lot of put in a lot of effort to bring that person up to speed on our standards and stuff? And there's a final conversation with the team on which I'm not present. No manager is present, just to make sure that the person likes the team with whom they'll be working with, and the team likes the person, right? And they can be completely unbiased by the manager and co-founder being in a call and sort of biasing everyone to say that remote is great. So I would just want people to ask whatever questions they want to ask, and that's it. Then they get an offer and they either accept or decline.
So basically you choose based on passion, based on experience, and you recommend not to just put copy and paste when you apply to the remote position, because there are hundreds of competitors from around the world who wants to get the same job as you want. Correct?
Yes. So it's the same as applying to any job that has a lot of people applying to. Is, look, whoever is coming through the applications doesn't have a lot of time. I'm a builder, an architect, a software engineer at heart. So I still have things that I do daily. I'm not just a manager. I'm not just a hiring manager. So you have to get my attention in one way or another. I want you to get my attention. I really do. So please don't get the pre-formatted messages that you send to 1,000 companies, and put a bit of effort into it. Don't write a lot. Just enough.
I want to move to the final part, to
Sure.
the family and what is the remote work for you. Mm-hmm. I'm asking because when we discussed the time for that conversation, I proposed like 5 p.m. Portugal time, and you answered that you have to take care of your son around that time.
Yes.
And I understood that it's kind of schedule, like when you work in remote, you have time to take care of your family, you have time to take care of your dog. And I've read your recent post when you just joined or started remote.com. You mentioned that you will have more time spent with your dog.
Yes.
So what is remote work for you personally, and how do you like it, and how do you manage it? So it's quite an evening right now, and we're talking to each still like 2 hours before the time to spend with your family, if I'm not wrong.
So the way it works, as I said, remote, one of the best things about remote is working asynchronous and be more productive. You can be more productive if you use the time that you're able to focus in the best way possible. This means that throughout the day, you have periods of time where you don't really focus. You're like tired, like sometime mid-afternoon or beginning of the evening or whatever, where you just don't feel like it. And it's just dumb if you keep on working. You'll make mistakes. You'll bother other people. You'll not be the best version of yourself. So here's the deal. You spend your own time doing whatever you feel it feels best. We don't have schedules. We even have unlimited time off at remote, meaning that you can take as many vacations as you want. We're all working towards the same mission and the same goal at the end of the day. And so what it means to me personally is that I get to live my life and be fully realized as a person and as a professional as well. So this means that throughout the day, I can manage my schedule to make my dog happier, spend time with my kid whenever he needs me the most. And as you said, we sort of had to fit the schedule because so my kid around 5:30 p.m. starts to get a bit cranky. So he's 1 year old, by the way. So we just prepare dinner and we eat together. And then he has his bath and then goes to bed. So what I did was we had dinner, and put him in his bath, and then put him in his bed, and he's now sleeping, I hope. And that's the deal for me. And what I do is sometimes, I mean, I don't usually, most of the time on this block of time, I don't really work. I'm with him. I usually have my phone around, but I'm not always checking on it. Depends what's going on in the company as well. Some days my wife sort of takes over for me and a lot of the things as well. And that's fine. But I really enjoy spending time with him and my dog. And sometimes throughout the day, I take a few breaks and either go for a run or just play with him or play PlayStation if I can, because I don't feel productive. And what I do is sort of recharge batteries. And when I come back to working, I'm at full force and full speed. And then I'm the best version of myself. And to me, remote means that you can have the best of both worlds, be productive, be happy professionally, have an amazing balanced personal life, and have a balanced work life equilibrium, if you want to call it. I don't really like to segregate life from work. It's one and the same, but you can call it whatever you want.
Thank you very much, Marcelo. It was really productive, like 30 minutes, a lot of insights for me. I'm running remote first company as well, but I have just newborn 2 childs, and I understand what you're talking about because I need time like to take care of my family and to run the business at the same time. And it's stressful both, like to take care of the family and to care about the business. And for me, it's even difficult to imagine if I go to the office, how to organize it, because it just, if you spend time on commute, if you spend time on unnecessary stuff, you don't have time for you to live. So yeah, thank you very much. I really hope and really believe that remote.com would be in a few years like the major source how to hire people globally around all different spheres. It doesn't matter, do you hire an engineer or do you hire like a support specialist? It doesn't matter. Remote.com should be the right place like to hire people from everywhere in the world. And I also believe that in a few years, like there will be more and more remote first companies, and people will switch their mind from hiring just locally to hiring globally, and to hiring globally not just in the country, but really globally, and to get like 100 applications for one position, as Marcelo did.